Hello everybody, Chris here and welcome to yet another VHS discussion video. Today I want to share with you my main concern for the game. I do have a couple of minor ones that have been pretty much answered already, and even if they haven't been, I don't think they're worth mentioning. It's always like a question of, the balance issues when we get new characters, how much time I'm gonna have to spend on the game to do certain challenges and unlock certain things. It's just always like minor stuff. But the big concern that I do have and would love to share with you guys is the ranking system and matchmaking. Don't get me wrong, VHS is not the only game that arose this sort of a question in me. I played a lot of multiplayer games for the past years, and I do believe that ranking and matchmaking can never be perfect. There will always be people in certain ranks that don't belong there. There are people climbing up that are currently stuck in that rank and will outperform everybody else. There are people who luckily scraped by and managed to hit the rank even though they do not deserve it, even though numbers of those people are usually small and insignificant, but still can make an imbalance in certain matches, games. Yes, I'm definitely talking about League of Legends. This is the game that I played, and trust me, it's not a pleasant experience. Since you're already talking about League of Legends, let me add one more game inside, Dead by Daylight. First of all, I just want to say these are two very different games, and I don't think I should be making a comparison of any sort. League of Legends being a MOBA game and Dead by Daylight being a 4v1 asymmetrical horror game, same as VHS. But I still do want to say that League of Legends ranking system and matchmaking is much better than in Dead by Daylight. And it's as close to perfect as I've ever seen in a game. Okay, that might be due to me not trying every single game out there. There are probably systems that work better than in League of Legends. But now let me get to Dead by Daylight, which has somewhat questionable ranking and matchmaking. I got into Dead by Daylight 7 months ago, and the ranking was definitely far from perfect. As I mentioned, there is absolutely, definitely 100% no way the game can have a perfect ranking system. It's just impossible. It's an equivalent to a question, can you make a perfect game? No, you can't. No game is perfect. You can only reach for perfection and make it as good as possible. As I was saying, Dead by Daylight didn't have a perfect ranking system, far from it. There's only 20 ranks, and I managed to reach rank 1 on Survivor within the first month of playing the game. Which kind of raises a question, is the ranking good? Probably not. Matchmaking, however, was somewhat decent. If you go into a solo lobby, you just get matched with people with similar ranks, and the skill level doesn't vary that much from game to game. It's always like there is a cap, there is always gonna be some noticeable differences, but it wasn't a big issue. And then 2 or 3 months ago we switched to SBMM, which is skill-based matchmaking, and your matchmaking will be predetermined by MMR. If you don't know what it is, MMR or matchmaking rating is an individual value assigned to each player. So basically it's like an invisible number that you can't possibly know what it is, like how much exactly it is. You can just always assume, oh, my MMR is low, or like in mid-range or high. But yeah, basically just a number that you can't see, and you get the points by playing the game. If you win, you get MMR. If you lose MMR. We're not gonna get in depth on how Dead by Daylight's MMR system works, but we all know it was a huge mistake, because they made it so the survivors have to play for themselves, because it doesn't matter how well you perform throughout the game. As long as you stay in the corner throughout the whole match and escape at the end, you win MMR. You win 20 points, same as everybody else. Doesn't matter if you contribute to the game in any sort of way. As long as you escape, you win. Before, we at least had blood points, telling us at the end of the match, oh, you did this well, you did gens. You were altruistic, you saved people. Maybe you were running the killer. And based on everything you've done in that match, you get rankings. And that's the only thing that mattered. You had ranks, you had blood points, you had points that were assigned to each action that you did inside of the game. It didn't even matter if you escaped or not. As long as you did incredibly well throughout the match, you would be rewarded. So they took something that was somewhat decent, flushed it down the toilet, and made something worse. The reason I'm telling you this, because this is my actual concern for VHS as well. I don't think they're gonna make such a huge mistake as Behavior did with Dead by Daylight. However, as I said, there is no perfect ranking system, there is no perfect matchmaking system, and of course I'm gonna be worried what they're gonna offer us in the game. I'm gonna be worried about this with every single game that I'm ever gonna play in the future. I don't think most people understand how important this is, because this one thing can make or break the experience of the game for one player, for everybody actually. A lot of people stopped playing Dead by Daylight because of the same reason. Ever since they introduced SBMM and MMR, They started dropping people who have been playing for ages. Of course, they don't mind, because there is a bunch of new players who get into the game and don't even know what's wrong with it. When I started playing Dead by Daylight 7 months ago, it was like such a fun game. You didn't care about ranks because you still weren't good. I was just trying to scrape by and learn how to play the game. I was enjoying myself. I got into a match with friends of mine. They were teaching me how to play. I was juking the killer, I was talking to them, we were like escaping. It was all about just the experience of the game. But sooner or later, in every multiplayer game, everybody wants to become better. Everybody wants to be recognized. If I put 1,000 hours into the game, I expect myself to become good. And I want to see that the game recognizes that as well. And at a certain point, you just want the matches to match your skill level. So it only makes sense to leave the game if it doesn't match your criteria there. I become good, but the game doesn't offer what I need. Like if I want to become better, I need to start playing against people around my skill level or somebody who's better than me. And I want to prove that I can become even better. I know a lot of people will disagree with some things that I just said, because a lot of them want to play for fun. But it depends on your definition of fun. For a lot of people, when they play online games, they want to progress. What makes the game fun is the progression. And if I cannot progress, it becomes less and less fun. Which ultimately leads to me getting bored of the game. And this is exactly why I mentioned League of Legends earlier. This is the game that I played for years, 10 hours a day. And the only reason I stopped is because it was destroying my life. Not because it wasn't fun anymore. I wanted more. I wanted that challenger mark. I hit diamond rank and I wanted to scrape by. I wanted to go through master, grandmaster and hit the challenger. And since I had that gold, which was almost unattainable, the game was insanely fun. No matter how much you hate the experience, you know, you think you hate it. You have that love-hate relationship with the game. You know, I love to play it, but I don't like what's happening with me. I want to reach that rank, but it's so hard. And a lot of people will complain, but you still love the game because of it. This is exactly why I believe League of Legends is the most played game in the world. Not just because of all the small things it has to offer. Yes, it's a really fun game to play, especially with friends. If you play with friends, it's like, oh, it's just so good. But it offers something unattainable for most people, and they just want it more because of it. It's funny how most people just don't see it. It's so simple. They're giving you something you basically cannot reach if you're not willing to invest most of your life into it. And because it's in your nature to go for something that you can't have, you keep on playing. You keep on playing more and more and more. You get sucked in so hard. You get other people sucked into the game as well. This is how online gaming works. If you want a multiplayer game, you have to offer them something that's like really hard to reach. Offer them a really fun game with a lot of options, which is gonna make for a fun experience playing it, and then give them something to work for. Whew. Now that was something. I feel like I babbled on forever. I gotta say, this is an emotional subject for me, just because, as I said, I went through a lot of games and Dead by Daylight just kind of destroyed it for me. So I want VHS to do this right. And this is the only reason I'm making the video. I do wanna learn what it is. The biggest question I have regarding the game that hasn't been answered yet. I just want to know how the ranking and matchmaking is gonna work. If you guys have any clues or even concerns, please feel free to share them down below. I would love to discuss this further. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, even though it was somewhat weird. But yeah, if you guys don't want to miss out on any future videos that I'll be posting here, please consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell. All that being said, wishing you all a beautiful evening, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. See you!